Hey guys. Um, so we're gonna just jump right on into chapter 6. Um, and I've enjoyed our discussion yesterday. I loved hearing what you guys said about the positive things that are going on in your life because of this nasty dreaded virus. Just gonna remind y'all to keep praying for yourselves, your families, your teachers, your school, and hopefully everything will get back to normal pretty soon. Chapter 6. The nausea was much stronger this time. When the rock wall disappeared behind Michael's back, he immediately felt a swaying sensation drawing him down. Back up, and then down again. He balled his fist, ducked his head, and wondered when the time shift would be over. The sickness was almost overwhelming. Carefully, Michael opened his eyes and immediately understood. The movement was not part of the travel. He had arrived at his destination in less than an instant. He was on a boat. It was dark, but despite the darkness, Michael could see the water in the starlight. The salty smell from summer vacations past told him he was on the ocean. As his sight adjusted to his surroundings, the motion bothered him less. Feeling around, he found that he was sitting on a large pile of coiled rope. Well, he thought it was rope. It was rougher and less uniform than any rope he'd ever used. It felt like it was made of grass. Michael suddenly remembered that he still held Chamberlain's paper in one hand and the pouch in the other. Excited and somewhat amazed that the pouch had come with him, Michael hurriedly placed the paper in the pouch and buttoned it. Then he remembered the page from Truman and King Solomon's leather scroll. Removing them from his pocket, Michael placed the first 2 priceless notes inside the colonel's pouch, with the third, and shoved it back into his jeans pocket. Carefully, Michael rose. He was stiff and somewhat sore, as if he'd been still for a long time. Looking up, Michael saw a massed broadcloth, a sail, and smiled. He had sailed with his father some on the lake, but not with a sail this huge. "Dad, would you really get a kick out of this?" he said aloud. Sorry, turn my phone down. Okay. Suddenly, Michael felt very alone and very tired. Sinking down into the pile of rope, he laid his head back as tears welled up in his eyes. How was his dad? Would he ever see him again? Or his mom? Was she worried about him? Had 10 minutes passed? Or 100 years? My friend, psst, my friend. Michael felt a tugging on his sleeve and opened his eyes. It was still dark, but he felt like he'd been sleeping forever. My friend, a figure urgently. Please, if you will, come with me. After being practically jerked to his feet, Michael followed the outline of a small, stocky man as he lightly stepped around barrels, ropes, and poles, working his way to the center of the boat. Trying to keep up, Michael almost tripped several times until finally the man stopped at the base of the mast. The large pole, bigger around than Michael could have reached, rose up into the darkness. Supporting the mainsail, it was covered in ropes and buckles. Without a glance at Michael, the man said simply, "Up," and motioned with his hand for Michael to follow. The man climbed so fast that he was almost out of sight in seconds. Michael hurried to keep up, but it was like crawling through a spider's web. In only a short time, however, he felt a hand grasp the back of his shirt. The small man was very strong. He heaved Michael up over the lip and into a wooden cup built around the top of the mast. They were in the crow's nest. The man smoothed Michael's shirt where he had grabbed it, then placed both hands on Michael's shoulders. "Welcome, welcome, my friend," he said quietly, but with enthusiasm. "I am most honored to make your acquaintance. And your name is?" "My name is Michael. Michael Holder." "Ah, Senor Holder. May I call you Michael?" "Yes, of course." "Excellent. Are you hungry?" "No, not really. Good. We have very little to eat, and what we do have contains wee bugs." Michael winced. "But there's no problem," the man said. "You will see. Our journey is almost at an end." Despite the darkness, the reflection of the stars from the water illuminated the crow's nest in the soft glow. Michael could see the man clearly now. He had reddish-brown hair, very curly, that fell almost to his shoulders. A triangular green felt hat was set far back on his head. The forward point jutting toward the sky. The rest of his clothes, except for a stout canvas jacket, was in tatters. The man's pants fell in strips around his ankles, and his shoes were virtually non-existent. Hard leather wrapped around his foot. "What's your name, sir?" Michael said, "Why, of course. Why, yes, of course." The man put his hand to his head. "How rude of me. I'm Captain Colon, Captain Cristobal Colon, master of the Santa Maria, at your service." He gave a little bow. "Santa Maria? Colon?" Michael asked. "Columbus? You're Christopher Columbus?" "Yes," the man smiled, a bit confused. "Columbus is the English pronunciation of my name, but your Portuguese is flawless. I naturally assumed." Michael grinned. "I'm speaking Portuguese tonight only." Columbus tilted his head as if he were trying to see what Michael thought was humorous. "I see," he said, though clearly he did not. Clapping his hands and rubbing them together, Columbus changed the subject. "Whatever it is that you're doing tonight," he said, "the night itself will soon be over. The sun will join us shortly." The rocking of the vessel seemed more intense in the high perch, but otherwise Michael felt safe, almost comfortable. Looking behind the Santa Maria, he could just make out the shadows of two other boats. "The Nina and the Pinta?" Michael asked, proud of himself for remembering the names from his studies of Christopher Columbus. "Why, yes," Columbus answered. "Seaworthy vessels both, though not quite so luxurious as this." He flung his arms out below him toward the deck of the Santa Maria. Michael tried not to smile. Do you know where you are?" he asked. "Certainly," Columbus smiled. "I'm right here." "Do you know where you are?" Michael looked around. "The Atlantic Ocean?" "Good, good," Christopher said, clapping Michael on the back. "You're a wonderful navigator." Michael was a little uneasy. "Do you really not know where you are?" "Does that have any bearing on what I can accomplish?" Christopher asked in return. I don't quite understand." Michael said, "I've heard that question in one form or another since I was a child." Columbus began. "Do you know where you are? Do you know what you are? Colon, you are uneducated. Colon, you are poor. You are the son of a weaver. What do you know about the sea?" He shook his head in disgust. "Do you know where you are?" is a question that interests me not in the least. Now, do you know where you're going? There is a question I can answer. So, ask me that. "Excuse me? Ask me. Do you know where you are going? Ask me." "Okay," Michael shrugged. "Do you know where you're going?" For the few minutes they had been in the crow's nest, they had all conversed in rather quiet, measured tones. At that point, however, Columbus received the question he had been waiting for. He boomed out the answer. Carrying across the water, it sounded like the voice of God himself. Throwing his hands forward, pointing into the western sky, he cried, "Yes! Yes, I know where I am going. I am going to a new world." Shivers ran up Michael's spine as he watched the great explorer point into the darkness. For a moment, neither of them said a word. Clearing his throat, Michael broke the silence. "How long since you left Spain?" he asked. 64 days, Columbus said, lowering his arm. "And today we shall see land. Look behind us." Michael turned and saw brightening in the eastern sky. "Dawn will be breaking soon. When it does, directly in front of the Santa Maria will be land. Beautiful land, with trees and fruit and animals and people who will welcome us as heroes. The water gushing from the ground will be cold and pure. It will sparkle as if sprinkled with diamonds. This will be a place for men's dreams to come true. A glorious new world claimed by Cristobal Colon in the name of King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella." Michael leaned forward. "They're the King and Queen of Spain, right?" Columbus nodded. "They are the financiers of this expedition. King John of Portugal, my king, said no to the grand opportunity, as did the kings and queens of many other countries. It took 19 years to find sponsorship. For 19 years I endured the agony of public humiliation for my convictions." "What convictions?" Michael asked. "The conviction," Columbus said, his voice rising, No, the absolute certainty that I can establish a new trade route by sailing west. West. Columbus grabbed Michael by the shoulders and shook him once again and said, "My friend, the world is a sphere. It is not flat. We are sailing around the earth on the smooth surface of a sphere. We will not fall off some imaginary edge." Are you the only person who believes that?" Michael asked. "At this moment, yes," Columbus admitted. "But that bothers me not in the least. Truth is truth. If 1,000 people believe something foolish, it is still foolish. Truth is never dependent upon consensus of opinion." "But don't you care that people think you are, well, crazy?" "My friend," Columbus said with a smile, "if you worry about what other people think of you, then you will have more confidence in their opinion than you have in your own. Poor is the man whose future depends on the opinion and permission of others." "But how—" Columbus put his hand out to silence him. "Please, my friend," he said, quiet for a time. Michael did as he asked and followed his gaze into the western sky. The sun was just beginning to rise, creating miles of a glimmering ocean. Columbus peered ahead, and for one full minute he didn't move. 2 minutes, and then 10. Only his eyes shifted as he scanned the line where the water touched the sky. After almost half an hour, Columbus straightened his back and rubbed his eyes. "Nothing," Michael whispered. "Yes, something," Columbus answered. Michael looked around. "You see land?" "Yes," the great man said simply. Michael frowned. He couldn't see it. "Point it out to me, would you?" "Senor Holder," Columbus began, "you are looking in the wrong direction. Today you will not see land off the bow of my ship. You will see land only by looking into my eyes." Michael felt like he'd been tricked. "So there's no land?" "Yes, there's land," Columbus replied, "and it's right there." He pointed past the bow of the ship. "I see it as plainly as I see you." Columbus was silent as he gazed into the water. For a brief time Michael didn't breathe. His eyes were fixed on the man before him. What could I accomplish, Michael wondered, with a spirit as powerful as this? Columbus inhaled deeply and turned to Michael. "Most people fail at whatever they attempt because of an undecided heart. Should I not? Go forward? Go back? Success requires a committed heart. When challenged, the committed heart will search for a solution. The undecided heart searches for an escape." Columbus cleared his throat, coughing gently, then continued. "A committed heart does not wait for conditions to be exactly right. Why? Because conditions are never exactly right. Indecision limits the Almighty and his ability to perform miracles in your life. If he has put the vision in you, proceed. To wait, to wonder, to doubt, to be indecisive about the vision is to disobey God." Without taking his eyes off the water, Columbus reached under his pocket and removed a parchment. "For you," he said, unfolding it. He handed it to Michael. Michael took the yellowed paper, glanced at it briefly, and said, "You will find the new world." Columbus, eyes still straight ahead, spoke quickly. "Yes, I know." Michael smiled and shook his head in wonder. "How do you know?" Columbus turned to Michael and looked at Michael. "I have a decided heart," he said, and turned back. Stealing one last glance at the man who had penned the words, Michael began to read. "The forced decision of success. I have a decided heart. A wise man once said a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Knowing this to be true, I am taking my first step today. For too long my feet have been tentative, shuffling left and right, more backward than forward as my heart gauged the direction of the wind. The power of control direction belongs to me. Today I will begin to exercise that power. My course has been charted. I have a decided heart. I am passionate about my vision for the future. I will wake up every morning with an excitement about the new day and the opportunity it holds. My thoughts and actions will work in a forward motion, never sliding into the dark forest of doubt or the muddy quicksand of self-pity. I will freely give my vision to the future to others. As they see the belief in my eyes, they will follow me. I will lay my head on my pillow at night, happily exhausted, knowing that I've done everything within my power to move the mountains in my path. As I sleep, the same dream that dominates my waking hours but will be with me in the dark. Yes, I have a dream. It's a great dream, and I will never apologize for it. Neither will I ever let it go, for if I did, my life would be finished. A person without a dream never had a dream come true. I have a decided heart, and I will not wait. What I put off until tomorrow, I will put off until the next day as well. I do not procrastinate. All my problems become smaller when I confront them. If I touch a thistle with caution, it will prick me. But if I grasp it boldly, its spine crumbles into dust. I will not wait. I am passionate about my vision for the future. My course has already been charted. My destiny is assured. I have a decided heart. So, we met Christopher Columbus. Pretty interesting, right? I thought at least he would find land while we were reading. We didn't get to know the end. We do know the end of the story, but we don't get to hear it in the book. So remember to do, I'm not going to write it on Google Classroom every day, but now that we finished a chapter, you know to go and find your 2 to 3 sentences that stand out the most to you and chart them on your, go ahead and write them on your paper of the quotes that we started yesterday. And we're going to go on to chapter 7 tomorrow. We'll have a group discussion. I'll put out a group discussion today or tomorrow for us to go back and forth. The first one was pretty awesome. I enjoyed so much hearing your positive things that are coming out of this quarantine. And you guys stay safe, and we will see you tomorrow. Have a good day. Bye.